quite satisfactory.
Can you describe the wound at all?
His wounds fell into three categories. The first, a tangential wound of the right side of the chest, which Dr. Shaw can best describe. The second, a compound fracture of the right wrist. And the third, a soft tissue wound of the left thigh.
The main problem in dealing with the wound of the chest was in closing the chest, because the bullet which entered the right shoulder in the back went down across the chest and struck the fifth rib in such a way that it was partially shattered, and this caused an opening through the chest wall into the pleural cavity, which allowed the right lung to collapse. The surgery was just a matter of taking away the damaged tissue caused by both the bullet and the rib fragments, and then closing the chest so that the right lung could be re-expanded. No, it shouldn't be considered critical. His condition is satisfactory considering the wound that he has had.
Considering the path of the bullet through his body, how close did the bullet pass from any vital organs that would likely have resulted in a fatal shot?
The closest vital organ, I suppose, would have been the heart, and it was at least 6 inches away from the heart. In other words, the bullet actually did not enter the body cavity, but it caused an opening into the body cavity by the shock-like impact against the rib, which it fractured. The bullet itself did not enter the body cavity. It only went through the chest wall.
Has the governor been conscious at all?
Yes, the governor has reacted from anesthesia quite satisfactorily now. He is fully conscious. He's mentally alert, talking, and in fact jocular at times at the moment.
Has he had any comment at all on the shooting?
No, we've purposely avoided commenting on
Is
that.
he aware that he was shot?
Oh, yes.
Does he know the president is dead?
Not at the moment, no.
Do you know when he'll be told?
Tomorrow, in all likelihood.
Has he had anything to say at all about it?
He's asked questions in a general nature, that's all. Dr. Shaw and I agree, after talking to Mrs. Connally, that it's probably quite fortunate that the governor turned to see what had happened to the president. Had he not, the chances are quite good the path of the bullet would have been straight through and through and would have involved the heart.
I'm Julian Reed, R-E-A-D, aide to Governor Connally.
Could you describe the seating position in the automobile?
Yes. The president was seated in the right rear seat. Opposite in the left rear was Mrs. Kennedy. Immediately ahead of the president on a jump seat was Governor Connally. Immediately opposite him was Mrs. Connally. Farther up, of course, we had Secret Service, as you know. As Mrs. Connally recalls, just before they reached the triple underpass, the shot rang out, the first shot, and she feels quite sure that it did hit the president. Governor Connally, who was seated here, turned immediately to see what happened, and as he turned, he was struck. The president, according to Mrs. Connally, immediately slumped, and Mrs. Kennedy grabbed him. A moment later, Governor Connally slumped, and Mrs. Connally grabbed him. Both women grabbed the men almost simultaneously and ducked as much as possible to guard against any possible gunfire following that. Mrs. Connally says that the next thing she recalls is a Secret Service man picking up a telephone in the car and giving instructions of, let's proceed direct to the nearest hospital.